national service, in a sense, really provides a platform for many things, building a sense of loyalty and patriotism, but also providing a platform for networking among young people who are making a transition from learning to the world of work. It also offers an opportunity for young graduates to learn how to live outside of their parents. And we always say that if there is any one moment where Ghanaian citizens actually have the opportunity to learn in the practical form how to be tolerant, it is really around the National Service Program, because we send young people from the places where they are familiar with to places where they completely have no familiarity at all. We send them to different cultures, and one of the beautiful things about our country is the cultural diversity. We send young people to different parts of the country. They may not be able to speak the language, they may not be able to probably meet anybody they know, but they learn to appreciate the cultures into which they have been moved to, and in the process learn to see our commonalities, learn to make new friends, and that in itself is an integral part of the nation building process. If our democracy is to survive, then we must learn to expose ourselves to ourselves the more. And I think that the National Service Program offers that particular platform.
We as a scheme have held these people and then taking them through what we call transition period, taking them through some kind of exposure and experience so they will know what they will have to do as Ghanaians and then how to serve their country.
It also offers an opportunity to be mentored, because when we send service personnel into the various industries and various academic institutions and various public sector institutions like the district assemblies, the ministries, the departments and agencies and so on, we are also offering them the opportunity to meet people who have made it in life, people who have seen it all, so that through conversations and networking with those people, they'll be mentored and they will be able to avoid some of the mistakes that others have made in a way that allows them to actually make it in life much earlier.
Prior to 2015, we had basically 4 or 5 service options. We had education, health, which are distinct, and all the other departments were classified as MDAs. That was ministries, departments and agencies. Then we had the private sector, and then the MMDAs, that's the Metropolitan Municipal District Assemblies. But the term models came in when we introduced the distinct sectors that the service persons will find themselves. So we give them the options to choose even on their enrollment form prior to deployment. And we had basically 9. I'll start with the newest introduction we had, the urban traffic management, where the service persons join with our partners, that's the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service. The next will be urban sanitation. They are deployed under that model to support the Metropolitan Municipal District Assemblies. To gather data, you need data to be able to manage human settlement and then the waste management. The next is the rural development. We may say the MMDAs. We have the town and country planning, school feeding program, even the planners, exactly, planners, budget officers, administrative officers in the districts. And majority of service persons are posted into education to support the teaching of the students or pupils from kindergarten. We get requests from kindergarten right down to the tertiary level. Service persons act more or less as volunteers.
Those working in the clinics, in the CHIPS compounds, in the big hospitals as lab technicians, nurses, supporting doctors, physicians and pharmacists across the various places in the country.
So the service persons, the regular ones, add to that number. That's why I say that they see themselves as volunteers doing paramedical work.
The idea of service is also to give young people an idea of what the world of work looks like. And so there is also some focus on deploying service personnel to the private sector. So if you go into the banks, the insurance companies, the manufacturing industries, in some cases, some private businesses, all of them make requests for service personnel, and they are giving service personnel.
We want to even encourage the businesses in the regions outside Accra to ask for service persons, because apart from the service persons coming to understudy them more or less, they may live by impacting their own knowledge, things they learned in school, into their businesses.
For example, there's a gentleman who is in our office now who read political science from the university, and through his national service was able to develop an application on phone that you can access every information about national service on that phone.
Agriculture and agro businesses, where the objective is to give hands-on training to the service persons, the practical aspect of farming. The next is the administrative support. We supplement manpower in all sectors of the economy. The MMDAs with the new district assemblies without personnel, and even with the old ones that were new then, which were created all along the service persons, that started.
And there are some places that are very difficult to reach. So what we have done in recent past is that we have established a number of channels to be able to get closer to national service personnel. First of all, we established a call center where service personnel could call in at any time and find out any information about national service and about themselves. We've also established a number of channels through which service personnel can access information with regard to their national service payment of allowances and other information that they would need wherever they are doing their national service.
And so far so good. The scheme is working hand in hand with even personnel themselves are developing apps that will facilitate that information flow, and I think things are working now.
Every Ghanaian citizen of 18 years and above, particularly coming out of tertiary institution, is mandated to do national service. It doesn't matter whether you school in Ghana or you school abroad. It's by law. You have to do your national service, and if you don't do your national service as per the dictates of the arts, you cannot be employed by any institution. You cannot also set up your business. So you cannot work in the formal sector, you cannot work in the private sector, you cannot work in the informal sector, or even in the public sector if you've not done your national service.
Well, currently what the enforcement department is engaged in is ensuring that all prospective service personnel who completed previously and for one or two reasons couldn't do their service have their applications scrutinized and then their PIN numbers reactivated.
And there are some people who on their own come back and say, you know what, I'm currently working but I have not done my national service, so I now want to do it. Basically what we do is that we enroll you into the program, but we post you back to the institution where you are working so as to make sure that we don't disrupt your career obligations to your employer.
This time round, postings are released very early as June, so that July we start registering service personnel for national service. What this means to us, which I would say is an innovation, is that this early release allows the personnel to psych themselves, prepare in respect to accommodation and any other things that they may need to take along to their places of postings. Secondly, this time round, we release national service personnel, especially the national service teachers, who are to meet the teacher shortfall in the classrooms timely. As soon as school resumes, the national service teachers who are ready to take up their postings in the classrooms.
And so one of the things we did as a way of setting very high standards was to ensure that we developed a deployment module or a deployment schedule that allows for everybody to know in a timely manner when all the various phases of the national service activities take place, from when we request for final year class leads from the various academic institutions, when pins are generated for the prospective national service personnel, when they are expected to register, when they are deployed, when they are supposed to register, and when they are supposed to report, and then when our monitoring takes place, so that all the stakeholders are on the same page on when all these things happen. And of course, there are various heads of departments in the head office here and across the regions who are responsible for various aspects of who are responsible for giving life to the various aspects of the deployment schedule. And that has brought some sanity into our operations.
What is happening now is that as the current service personnel in the private organizations are exiting, a new group of service personnel is coming. For instance, 2015, 2016 service personnel were exiting in July, let's say August. But by September, the new group, that's 2016, 2017, are coming in to fill the gap. So there's a sort of continuity, even in the private sector.
Many institutions are looking for service personnel that have a goodness of fit with their particular orientation. Many institutions are asking for specific individuals, and there is a challenge of personnel accepting postings to places where they are posted. There are families who have difficulty having their wards, leaving them to other parts of the country, and so they want to have their wards posted closer to them. There are user agencies who want to determine for the scheme who they will want to take. And of course, user agencies, especially those in the private sector, are expected to pay 20% of the allowance back to the scheme. Many of these things are not happening in the way we wanted it to be. But again, as human institution, we, those who are participants in the institution, continue to think around how best we can resolve some of these issues.
Previously, we were taking less than 40% of our 20%. With the new measures, we are between 70 and 80%. We track every single defaulter. We are able to track every single defaulter, and they are really paying. They are responding positively to that. Then we have the catering service, which now operate on 3 locations or institutions. We have one at our head office, NIA, that's National Identification Authority. We have the 3rd one at our regional office. The face of it has changed within the last 2 years. We were operating manually, that's cash sales. Now it's automated. Within the last 2 years, we have bought cash tell machines, and all our operation points or sales points are using the machine where you'll be receipted. At the end of every day, there is a report done by the systems operator, administrator, who reconcile what has been collected with what is in the system, what the report says in the system. We've also renovated the restaurants and even the fast food. There has been renovation. Most of the facilities that they are using have been upgraded, have been changed to modern ones.
Then come to the allowance issue, which is dear to service personnel and the scheme. There's also an innovation, which is very commendable. Personnel are paid through eSwitch, which is operated by GIPS.
The national service was very fragmented. They were divided into regions and into districts. And each district was autonomous, which means that every district makes up their own decision. They decide which bank they will use for payments. So it was very difficult for us to work with them. We could not get it on blanket basis. Each district was left to make their own decision as to whether they want to use the eSwitch system or whether they want to use it at the regional level. And we were going backwards between the national, the regional, and the districts. In the end, we had a couple of districts that were using it. Some started. Some felt that for whatever reason, it wasn't appropriate for them, and it was fraught with problems. But we were still prod on. And that was how our relationship with the National Service started. So far as we were concerned, we identified National Service as one area that would benefit from the use. Like I said, we also highlighted the student loans, and the cocoa sector was one of them. Quite a number of government agencies But it was not until there was a change in the leadership at National Service that Dr. Kpesa White took over. Myself and my team took advantage of it to go and explain the principles and the workings of the e-switch system, in particular how it will help eliminate some of the duplications, if there are. At least the pilots that we have run previously proved to us that there was areas where there were duplications, and the service as in its entirety will benefit from that. I remember that meeting very well. It happened in their boardroom. It took roughly 10 minutes after we have explained how the system works, and he asked whether the system was live in Ghana. And we said, yes, on the contrary, we've tried it a number of times and it's working. And he said, if such a system exists, so far as he's concerned, he's quite happy for us to sign for it to be used on blanket basis. And he made a very difficult decision that payment will will henceforth be made from the head office as opposed to the regional or the district level. So everything was sent to the head office. We came up with a project team between ourselves and the National Service, and within 3 weeks, we started the nationwide rollout. And I'm sure you've all heard in the last 2 years, the benefits that this initiative has. National Service has benefited from it. We had incidents where we had duplications. We had incidents where we had permanent National Service students, which means that they did their National Service in a particular year, and the following year they also enrolled again, and the year before they were enrolled in it. Our system was able to weed all of them out and flag them up as duplications in the system.
Now, that mechanism, in my mind, is probably the most phenomenal and fundamental thing that we have done here. And the reason it is so is because, one, it has eliminated all the human interfaces and interferences in the payment of service personnel. It used to be the case where to pay a service personnel, the PVs will arrive from the regions to the national head office, and then after they have been audited, checks are written to the regional offices. The regional offices also then write checks to the district offices, and then the district offices of the scheme will find a way of paying service personnel. Quite an elaborate system, and too many human interferences. So it's often led to delays in paying service personnel. You recall that in those days, every now and then, service personnel, a payment of allowances are in arrears of about a month or 2 months. We have eliminated all that, and what we did was basically the eSwitch platform. With the eSwitch platform, once the PVs arrive, they go through internal audits, and they are validated, and we are convinced that the service personnel on the PV are at post and deserves to be paid. We just inform the central bank where we have our accounts, and then they just issue a command, and all the service personnel receive their money.
We thought this is a better form of payment method than the previous one, because with the previous ones, if assuming you were not paid in a particular month, the corrections can be done and you'll be added to the subsequent one. But with this new method of payment, assuming there is a mistake in the information that was collated and sent to GIBS for the payment, the moment we realize the mistake and it's sorted out, you could be paid before the end of the month ends. So this is faster, convenient, and more reliable than the previous one.
And then savings too. For the savings, a lot of savings, we all knew what happened, but we have an accurate figure for payment, So you are paying 10 people, you are paying 10. Not that you don't assume, because the thing is accurate, because the system is generating accurate figures and data for you to pay.
You always try to pay legitimate national service personnel. And the idea is to make sure we don't pay those who are not doing national service.
Before we pay, we would have to confirm whether the eSwitch number national service presented via a secure medium is correct. And with the valid ones, it means that the eSwitch number they presented matches with the exact name we have in our system and also the exact name they also presented. If that is correct, we push it into our biometric search engine known as the 12-mark. So once that validation is done, we push those valid records into the multi-bio or the biometric search engine to take away duplicates.
Formally, when they are coming in the first and like September, they might be paid around November or December, you see. But this time around, when they enroll in September, by the end of September, they are being paid.
So what we do is that we only verify. In other words, we take them through another system to confirm or to assign a particular payment month to that particular national service person. Once that is done, they present a letter for us to pay, and within a minute, payment is done.
In our case, what I think has improved is the team that we're working with.
By doing that, we have reduced the payroll. We have reduced the number of service personnel on the scheme's payroll quite significantly compared to previous years. I mean, previous years, the numbers were relatively larger than this year. For instance, in the year before I came here, the scheme was paying on the average about, 75,000 service personnel every month. Currently, we are paying on the average about, 41,000 service personnel every month, starting from the 2014-2015 service year when I came here. And so what it meant is that about 34,000 payments, monthly payments have been eliminated, and that's saved us over 200 million Ghana cedis. And I mean, we were very happy, and we are still very happy that we took that initiative and used it as a mechanism to clean, the system in a manner that allows us to get a fair view of which category of service personnel deserve to be paid by the government of Ghana. And so when we made a case to the government, the Ministry of Finance, that having saved this money, we will be very happy if an opportunity is given to the scheme to use some to purchase some vehicles to augment its operations.
We talk about monitoring of national service personnel. Yes, there were times that monitoring was being done. Now it is more intensified because every region has been resourced in terms of so that we can do proper monitoring of the service personnel. And by that, we are assured that everybody that we are paying at the end of the month is somebody who is actually at post and working.
Because of the effectiveness and the efficiency of the system, we were able to save a lot. I know that the executive director have wrote to the Minister of Finance for approval to engage over 30,000 national service personnel that completed last year to do the extension. And that one alone, if you cost it, it's about 74 million Ghana cedis plus. So that money is not money that, although it's government money that we have saved here, by engaging the NSP for them to do the extension, it's not money that, it's not something that government is going to bring money from the national coffers, because the money is already there because of the service we did from the e-switch system or the electronic payment.
We are also currently in negotiations with the ministry to have the allowances paid to service personnel adjusted upward, and I believe that sooner than later there might be an announcement of a new allowance threshold for service personnel, which will be much appreciable than it currently is.
There's transparency, accountability, and promptness.
Now I'm so happy that prudent financial management has been instituted with a view to restore the positive image of the National Service Scheme.
The remarkable successes chalked by the National Service Scheme has been recognized beyond the borders of Ghana. Among the international awards the scheme has received are the Diamond Eye Award for Quality, Commitment and Excellence and Best Customer Satisfaction Award by the Association of Otherways Management and Consulting in France.
I'm sure when we all finished school, most of us were dependent on our parents completely. But as of now, right now, we are serving a nation. It's not like we're even supposed to really get money, but gladly we are getting something, and we are learning to actually manage, which is not something that we used to do. I'm sure most of us here nowadays, when we don't spend like we used to spend. We are really becoming grown-ups.
National service is something I would like to do again.
It's just been 2 months, but this experience is something that I think has really changed my life.
Indeed, the National Service Scheme is back on the highway of excellence. Forward ever, backward never.